Alrighty, welcome to Art Lessons. We're so happy you're here today. We're going to have a fun lesson on Greek pottery. So, here we go. Why Greek pottery? Well, other than it's really cool, this is the perfect way to talk about Greek life. Let's go 3,000 years ago. And you have pottery, because that's what you're using to carry your stuff around. You know, if you need water, you don't have a plastic water bottle or a really cool container that you might sip from, or a drive-through that would have a plastic straw and a cup. What you have is you go to the river and you get your water, and you have your vase, and you have your pottery jug, your jar, whatever, your urn, and you need to get some things. You load up your pottery and you go. So think about if you're headed to the grocery store and you have your reusable bag. Now, think 3,000 years ago, you're going to the market, and which would just be open air with whatever they're selling fresh, and you would take your jug with you and you would go along and you would load up your pottery. So these are essential. These are in everyone's house. The thing that's neat about this is they change in decoration over a period of time from about 1000 BC to 300 BC. So remember, we count down when we're going to BC. So when we're about 1000 BC, everyone's looking around. Hey, I've got my pottery. I'm ready to go. I'm going to go load it up, but it's kind of boring. Maybe we could figure out how to make it a little prettier. So they start adding geometric designs. Kick it back another 100 or so years, and they start getting influences from places outside of Greece, from trade and travel. And they start seeing things from the East, where they can see figures on there and representations of animals and foliage, and they go, oh, I like this. Let's add this to our pottery. So they start getting more and more decorative, and they start adding more details to their images. Well, then they figure out how to really paint them on using a type of slip. So it's really as though you're painting with a thin clay, but it's black. So they're going to do what we call black figureware, where what the background of the clay shows through, which kind of has a reddish orange appearance. It feels like terracotta. And it's their clayware, and they paint all their images in black. Well, then they figure out, we're about 500 BC now, they're like, oh, look, we can reverse it. And we can, instead of painting the images black, we can paint our backgrounds black. And so then we call it red figureware. So when you're painting it in black, which is the color they had, that would be black figureware. And when you paint it in reverse, where you paint your background to be black and the color of the clay shows through, that's red figureware. Kind of makes sense. Your figures are red or your figures are black. Now, what's neat about this is during this time, artists become known for their style. So let's say there was a art bazaar or an art show. You would go over and you go, oh, that's Fred. I love the way Fred paints because he has the best dog. So I'm going to go have my vase painted by Fred. So Fred would paint your vase. It cost you about a day's work, and you'd come back and be all happy. But let's say you really like the way Sally painted. You could go over to her booth and she would paint your vase for you, and then you would be, oh, I love the way these flowers look on there. Or you could go to Keaton, and maybe Keaton is a special ancient Greek vase painter, and you could have your clay pottery painted by him. You would find an artist who is known for their style, which is kind of what we're going to do today. You're the artist. This is your style. So you get to pick whatever you want to go on your vase, which is kind of neat. Now, they would represent stories or favorite items. There's a lot of things about heroes and their culture that are represented on here. And so that's a great way because the vases tell a story. So yours can tell a story too today. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to draw our vase, and we're going to put it onto our cardboard. So what you need for today's lesson is you need a sheet of cardboard, just something. If you don't, you can draw on your paper and you'll get the idea. But the reason we're using cardboard is because it has this brown color. That's going to represent our clay today. Then you need a black pen of some kind. I'm using a permanent marker and some black paint and brushes and water. So we're going to paint right on our cardboard. So let's draw our vase and then we'll get into our decoration. So our vase, I've kind of put one up here, but you can make it whatever shape fits your cardboard. You see how we've put this on here. So I'm going to walk through it real quickly and we grab this, but we're looking at this one. But I want you to notice these are just different styles. It doesn't have to look just like this one. So it's going to fit whatever your cardboard is. Or let's say you want to carry more water than everyone else. You can make it really big. So you're going to draw the top of your vase.
Do you want them to start drawing on like a separate piece of paper or on the cardboard?
Oh, Keaton had a great question. Should you draw straight on your cardboard or on a separate piece of paper? You can do it either way. I'm going to draw on here to show you how to draw the basic steps of a vase, but you can draw straight onto your cardboard if you want to. So but if you would like to draw on a piece of paper and practice and play with different shapes, by all means, go ahead. So we're going to draw that line at the top and then we're going to come in right here. We're going to represent this neck right here, neck of the vase. So it's open at the top and comes in. You can make yours wide. So see how much wider that one is? These are very wide. Then we're going to come around right here. So we're coming out to make that shape right here. And we're going to come across the bottom. So we did a line at the top right here. And I'm going to work straight through this because since this is recorded, you can stop it anytime you want to. But we got our line at the top. We came back in. We round out our shape to come there. And then I'm going to add some handles. So I'm just going to start just below the top line and come down like that. Now I'm going to repeat this one over here, just below the top line. Whoops, my paper's in the way. I got to move it out a little bit. There we go. And we need to make them thick enough to hold because we're going to the market, aren't we? And I give mine a little detail just because I like details. So we've got our basic vase shape. Now, if you remember when we studied Egyptian art, or if you've studied Egyptian art before, they put their illustrations in registers. They've got them going in the horizontals. Well, we've got that style going on here too. We've got a big area for decoration and then smaller bands where you can put decorative stripes, geometrics, lines, lots of movement there. So we're going to go ahead and put those horizontal bands in to help kind of block out our area. You want to make sure you have a big area right here because this is where your main illustration is going to go. So we've got different bands right here. It doesn't matter how many you do. I'm going to put one at the top for the lid. I'll do this one differently so you can kind of see. I'll put one up here and then maybe one down here. And then I need a big space for my illustration, my narrative. And so see, you can put your stripes all different ways if you want to. Maybe you put a little band right there. And those can all go in different ways. Is
there a recommended number of stripes?
Oh, Keaton has said they're a recommended number. It truly is up to you. It's how much detail you want to paint. But the recommendation is that you need to make the biggest area as big as you want to do your detail. That's the space you need to leave. So this one just has, 2 stripes down here. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4. So really, it's as simple or as busy as you want to get. You just need to make sure you keep the main body of the vase open for our main design. So now, what would go on your vase?
Can you put the stripes on the handles?
You can put stripes on the handles. They have some that have some decoration on the handles. For them, there's some decoration right here on that single handle. And it looks like they have a little bit there. But for the most part, You can do it however you want because you are the artist people are bringing their vase to today. So now when we draw, why vases? Well, it's a little bit like this is every day. I mean, these were in every household and many more than one. It was a way to show off things you liked. It's kind of like if you think about having your iPhone. You would show off pictures and you would have your social media. Well, think of this as a 3,000-year-old iPhone. It's what you would take to the grocery. It's what you would show off in your house. And the iPhone would represent, or your smartphone represents today's culture. So 3,000 years from now, there's going to be an art teacher drawing a big box and going, this is an iPhone. 3,000 years ago, they used this funny little shape. And so that's basically what we're doing today. We're just doing culture from 3,000 years ago. So if you think of it that way, what you're doing today is going to be representational of what, when people look back on this time, what they see. So that's why studying this Greek pottery is so wonderful. So with that being said, what you put on your vase, this right here is going to represent you. So you can draw anything you want. I'm going to take an image. There's a bird right here, which is probably an eagle, that I'm going to put on there because it is something representational of the Greeks. But you could put mermaids on there if you wanted. You can draw sunflowers. You could look over and you see your cat. You could put your cat on there. But so I'm going to take this and I'm going to just quickly sketch out. We've got the eagle right there. He's got a very blocky head. It comes in and then comes out. He's got a big wing that goes like that, a big body that comes out. I'm trying to draw it as, and a big wing that comes down here. Very blocky, but, and then I'm going to put a flower right in there that he is flying to. And we'll put some reeds down here. So very simple. He's got an eye that's big, and I see some other. So that gives us that very simple idea of an image in here. Now, what might go here is this may be striped. This may have loops. This may come like this. This may have a squiggle in it. But this is where you can really play with anything you want to and really do any kind of line. I think I'm going to even add another one. So when Keaton asks how many bands, you can adjust your design. Now, once you get your design drawn, this is where you can decide, is this going to be black figure pottery or is this going to be red figure pottery? So what that would look like, and I'll have to draw my design out, if I'm going to be black figureware, I'm going to paint the bird and my subjects, and I'm going to leave the pottery here. If this is going to be red figureware, I'm going to leave the bird the red and I'm going to paint the background. So,
can you have a design stretch across multiple bands, or would you recommend it stay in one?
Well, to be true to what they're doing here, the main band is where the design goes. It's as though that's your picture and the rest is your frame. So probably it's just as easy for me to paint on here if you envision this being the cardboard, but I will put it on here while everyone else is drawing. Let me band this out. So I'm going to draw my bird. Now you can decide there's something you really like. The nice thing is these are very simple designs, so you don't have to put lots and lots of detail in them. It can be your style. And remember, these would have been round surfaces. So I think this will, so we'll come down to the table, Keaton, and let's go ahead, and that way I'll paint right on the cardboard so you can see that. And I'll keep drawing it. Okay, and let's, there we go. So I'm going to go, so you really see it, with the idea that this is red figureware. So I'm going to paint in the background. So here we go. We're just going to come in. Now remember, what I want to do is I want to leave the clay color or cardboard color on the subject. This is called painting your negative space or your space behind. So it's a great, so we're basically painting the background in. Now you can do it in the reverse if you would like to do black figureware, but I kind of like the way this looks. And
was there any other type of figureware besides black and red?
Well, it was more, there are different other periods that refer to their types of decoration, but the ones that we typically study and really spend some time on are the black figureware and red figureware. And those are the later periods. So that's about 700 BC to 500, 500 to 300. So about in there. But you have, you know, where you have the Orientalizing, where they're doing the, so we're going to go around, kind of paint our, but you see what happens when you're painting that. Now, I didn't leave a space, so I'm going to have to make that stem thicker. Sometimes when you're painting on cardboard, it gets a little bumpy. This is fun to do on terracotta flower pots, because then you really kind of get that feeling of painting on something round and cylindrical. So if you happen to be at a hardware store, you could do this same lesson on those, and that's a lot of fun to do on there. So I'm going to continue to paint in. Let's get our shape in there. See how our vase is coming today. Now the nice thing is, since this is on cardboard, you could literally paint as many as you wanted to. So you could paint your vase for going to get your water. You could paint your vase for going to get your melons. You could paint your vase for going to get your fabric, where you might keep that. So see, you would just be fully vased up. You'd be the coolest Greek pottery owner in the United States, or wherever this may find you. I know we have several in Canada too, and I've had people in Australia and South Africa and Romania and all sorts. Thank you so much for joining. I love it that people love to learn about art, no matter where they are in the world. So it's the same thing. You can decide which side. That's really isn't going to affect, it's just going to affect your pattern. And you can do fine little points. I'm using a black acrylic, so it's going to cover a little bit better than if you had black watercolor, but you can do this with whatever you may have. If you just do it with your markers, that would work. And remember, you can always share this with me at makepaducah@yahoo.com. I love to see your work, and I try to get it posted. So we've been so busy working on all our virtual online art lessons and our art kits that are coming out and all those things. So I'm super excited. We've got some wonderful art lessons that start live, and that lets me interact straight with you. So those are online, and they start June 1st. And there's a really cool one that the registration will end next Wednesday for, which is Girl Power. I'm super excited about that. And it has the coolest kit. You'll get acrylic paints and pastels and wooden surfaces and wooden flowers. We paint for Frida Kahlo and all sorts of really cool stuff that comes in there. A little unusual because y'all know how much I love art supplies. So we're starting to get our idea of our Greek vase here. And I'm just painting along. So remember, we're leaving the design. Fill in my stripes here. And I think I'll paint my handles black. That way you'll see them a little better. I'll have to come back in. This is a great lesson to learn not only about history, but to think what would represent you right now. You know, what would represent you at this time, this era, this date. I'm going to come in with a smaller, and now I'm going to add my details because they need to be in black. We're going to darken those up for you.
Can you make a toilet paper vase?
Can you make oh, Keaton just came up with the greatest idea. If you have a toilet paper roll, because that's cylindrical, Keaton, I'm going to use that for an art lesson. What a good idea. You could, I need to see some Greek toilet paper vases. And you just watch. I'm going to totally use that in the studio. I love that, Keaton. Because you still get that same idea. Ooh, what else? Can anyone else think of things that you would like to see? You can do it on the flower pots, of course. But what else would you think that this type of painting would look good on? So, if we come in and we do that. So, I always think I need to have music playing in here, but because I feel like I should be dancing while I'm painting. Do, 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 do. So we get the idea, yeah. And you can get as busy as you want. You can come along and add as many extra details every layer, as long as you know that you're going to build that basic shape and vase and come up with those. So Keaton, you can bring the camera back on up and we'll go ahead and post our Greek vase right there. And so now you get the idea. I'll just go through it very quickly again. We've got our Greek pottery, which we kind of talked about different styles, how artists came on there and how you're the artist today. And this is going to represent something about you. We talked about how to quickly draw a vase, but that all these vase shapes are different. So you can make yours in multiple styles. And in fact, you could come along with more cardboard and make an entire collection of, and you can use Keaton's idea and use a toilet paper holder, and we could paper mache that and just go crazy. But this way you can get all sorts of shapes and kind of think about that. But what we really want to represent is the fact that we had two different styles, positive and negative space. Red figureware, using the black as the background, so we're painting the subject. We're leaving the subject with the background, painting the negative space. We had black figureware where we're leaving the background and painting the subject. So we're not painting the negative space, we're painting the subject. So you end up with two different styles. It's a great way to think about how you compose a painting. But it also is your story. It's talking about what was going on. This is a great time to paint something that's going on. You've had a lot of time in your house. You can look around, things that you can even make this a Greek vase about what you've been doing in your house. You also want to make sure you're doing it with the horizontal lines. We're building our composition, leaving that wide area for our main story stage. And then we're going to finally execute our actual work of art by painting it. So I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. I hope that you will share with me, Kisa Hausman. I hope that you will share at makepaducah@yahoo.com. If you want to catch any of our other videos, you can also check our Facebook page at Make Paducah, or you can go to YouTube, where we try to post as many as we can, and it's under my name, Kisa Hausman. And you can catch all sorts of awesome tales about artists and what they've done and masterworks and things you can make yourself. So, hope you've enjoyed this. We will see you tomorrow. We're doing watercolor strawberries. Art is man's nature. Nature is God's art. Bye, guys.